Welcome everyone. Today I will be walking you through some very important information about KCHA, the Housing Choice Voucher or Section 8 program, and explain how to use your voucher. The briefing today will cover 4 key topic areas. First, how the HCV program works. Second, how to find a unit. Third, what to do after you've found a unit. And fourth, we'll address how to work with KCHA. In the presentation today, you'll notice that each of the 4 sections we'll go over are color-coded and have special icons. You'll see these on the slides today. We hope these help you follow along with the presentation. You'll also note these 2 icons that appear throughout the presentation. The first, the notebook, relates to the briefing handbook or packet provided to you. When we're discussing a topic in the presentation and you see this icon, you'll know where to find more information about it in the handbook. The second, the ABC icon, relates to the glossary document that is in the briefing handbook as well. It will show up on the slides when a term is further defined in the glossary. You can refer to this if you're unsure of a word or term we're using. I'd like to begin with the vision statement of KCHA and by telling you a bit about our agency. Our vision is for all residents of King County to have quality housing. KCHA is one of the leading housing authorities in the nation. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, has named KCHA a high-performing agency every year since it began evaluating public housing authorities in 1992. The King County Housing Authority is an independent municipal corporation separate from King County government. It was created by the state of Washington in 1939 to provide affordable housing for its community. Annually, we house more than 19,000 households, which equates to about 50,000 individuals. We receive the majority of our funding from the federal government, HUD. Nearly half of KCHA's families are housed on the private market through a Housing Choice Voucher or Section 8 program. Section 1, how the Housing Choice Voucher program works. In this section, you will learn about how the Housing Choice Voucher program works, bedroom size eligibility, payment standards, information about income, and utilities. The voucher is a subsidy that allows you to lease a unit on the private rental market. It's an official document. It states the rules of the HCV program. We encourage you to read it closely. We'll go through many topics today. Always keep the original for your records. Your voucher will expire 120 days from today. If you do not find housing within this time period, it will be canceled. Think of it like a coupon. It will not be valid after its expiration date. So, we encourage you to be active in your housing search and motivated to find a unit within these 120 days. This is your search. Take ownership of it. It is your responsibility to find a unit. However, if you are approaching 120 days and don't think you will find a unit, you can submit a request in writing to ask for an extension. You can request an additional 2 extensions of 60 days, total of an extra 120 additional days. But this must be approved by a KCHA manager or director in writing. Ideally, you will be able to find a place within these first 120 days. If you've received 2 extensions and still need more time, additional extensions can be granted if you have a person with a disability in your household. To do this, you can request a reasonable accommodation to continue your search and keep your voucher. You can refer to the briefing handbook for additional information about reasonable accommodations. The bedroom size listed on your voucher is based on our policies. In general, this is how KCHA calculates bedroom size. 1 bedroom for head of household and their spouse or significant other, 1 additional bedroom for every additional 2 family members, regardless of sex or age. We calculate bedroom size in this way to ensure we can serve as many people as possible. One of the terms you may hear us use is HAP, or Housing Assistance Payment. This refers to the amount of subsidy that KCHA pays directly to your landlord. We will discuss your portion of the rent and how that is calculated on a later slide. The payment standard is the maximum amount KCHA can subsidize or pay in HAP. KCHA has 6 payment standards. They are based on zip codes and are aligned with the costs of the local rental markets, which vary greatly across the region. We have multiple payment standards to allow you to have geographic choice in your housing search. In your packet, you'll find a map of the county that shows how the multi-tier payment standards work. As you'll see, areas of the county that are typically more expensive are in higher tiers, and areas of the county that are less expensive are in lower tiers. Again, these tiers are designed so that wherever you search, you will be able to access units across the entire county. When calculating your portion of the rent, your household income is considered. Depending on the cost of rent for the unit you find, you will pay between 28% to 40% of your income towards rent. KCHA will pay the remaining portion directly to your landlord. We know that there is more to the cost of a unit than just rent. There's also utilities. We take the cost of utilities into account when determining your contribution to the rent. In the end, you are responsible for the cost of your utilities. We do not pay your utility bills. So how do we account for utilities? Depending on whether the landlord includes utilities in your rent or not, KCHA will adjust its subsidy to account for this cost. We do this through an energy assistance supplement. You can find out more about this feature of our program in your packet. Section 2, your housing search. In this section, you will learn about where you may lease a unit using your voucher, advantages of renting in certain locations, search tools to find a unit, security deposit assistance, and tips for finding a unit. Your voucher allows you to rent units on the private market, from apartments owned by large property management companies to individuals renting out a house or condo they own. As an emergency housing voucher holder, you may also choose to move into any area in the United States. Using your voucher outside of KCHA's jurisdiction is called porting out. To port out, you must complete a voluntary portability form after finding out what housing authority you are moving to. As we've discussed, your voucher provides you a lot of flexibility in where you can rent. However, there are certain situations where you cannot use your voucher. These include public housing or any other subsidized units, owner-occupied units or units owned by someone disbarred, facilities providing continual psychiatric or medical services, college or other school dormitories, units on the grounds of penal, medical, mental, or other private institutions, a unit owned by a relative of any household member. When considering where to lease in King County, remember that KCHA's jurisdiction is very large. It spans more than 2,000 square miles and has nearly 2 million residents. It is home to major metro areas like Bellevue, smaller rural towns like North Bend and Maple Valley, as well as suburban areas like Kent, Federal Way, Kirkland, Shoreline, and Bothell, among others. KCHA's jurisdiction does not include Seattle or Renton. These cities have their own public housing authorities. Visit our unit lookup tool to see if the unit you're interested in is within KCHA's jurisdiction. When conducting your search, we encourage you to also think about areas of the county that are considered high opportunity. These are areas of the county that have higher performing school districts, greater access to transportation, more parks, and a diverse array of employment options, among other qualities. If you heard about CMTO during your intake meeting, these are opportunity areas that are different and not associated with that program. Take a look at the map on the screen here to see where these high opportunity areas are in the county. As you search for housing, think about if these are areas of the county that may be a good fit for you and your family. As you probably know, when you begin a lease, it often requires a lump sum security deposit on top of your first month's rent. A really exciting service that KCHA provides to first-time voucher holders and emergency voucher holders is security deposit assistance. This assistance is for refundable deposits, and at the end of your lease, if you choose to move, you can take that refundable deposit with you, given your unit is in good condition and the deposit can be refunded. The assistance amount varies and depends on your bedroom size and in some cases, the type of voucher you have. Take a look at your packet to see the deposit assistance pledge letter. This will show you the amount of deposit assistance you may receive based on your bedroom size. We've just gone over a lot of information related to finding a unit. Before we move on to the next section of the briefing, I'm going to play a quick video that provides some tips and reviews the process of finding a unit.
You've got your voucher and you are ready to look for a unit, but where should you begin? Start by considering what is most important to your household. Maybe you want to be close to your child's school or within walking distance of a park. Make a list of the qualities you would like to find in a new unit. Use online housing search tools such as Zillow, Apartments.com, or KCHA's webpage to find available units. Remember that you can search for housing across all of King County, which includes a variety of high-opportunity neighborhoods, or areas of the county that tend to have high-quality schools and greater access to things like public transit, parks, healthcare facilities, and grocery stores. Take a look at the map of high-opportunity neighborhoods to find out more, and be sure to consider these areas of the county in your housing search. If you find something you like, schedule a time to see the unit and meet the landlord. Think of this meeting as you would a job interview. Be sure to show up on time with any paperwork or information. They might ask you to bring things such as your picture ID, proof of income, and information about your voucher. If the landlord doesn't know about the Housing Choice Voucher Program, take the time to explain how it works. You can also have them contact the Housing Authority for more details. When looking at your unit, take a minute to note if the windows seem secure, if the appliances work, and if the location itself seems safe. If you find a unit you like, take the next step of submitting an application. If you are not approved, find out why. This information may be helpful as you continue your search. Go back to your list and see if there are other units that may work for your family. Once you are approved, you are one step closer to finding a new home for you and your family. Now you will get in touch with the Housing Authority to begin the process of renting the unit.
A few tips to remember. Number 1, take note of the condition of the unit and surrounding area. Number 2, look for units that are within reasonable distance to schools, shopping, transportation, and your job. Number 3, be professional in your conversations with your landlord. As part of the Emergency Housing Voucher Program, you will also have access to housing navigation services to support you during your housing search. These services may be provided by the agency you're working with or through KCHA contracted community organizations. Community agency staff or navigators will provide you ongoing coaching and help you find affordable housing that fits your needs, market yourself, and prepare you to meet with landlords, especially help you talk through issues like credit mistakes and evictions, and provide money to help with moving expenses like application fees, holding fees, security deposits, and other moving expenses. Section 3. Finding a unit you want to rent. In this section, you will learn about calculating your portion of the rent, the rental process, and family and owner responsibilities. Let's start by taking a look at one of the most important documents in your packet, your estimate sheet. This form allows you to see the rent amounts that you should target in your housing search. There's 3 important ways this form is organized. Whether you are looking at an apartment or a house, whether the landlord pays for utilities or does not, what tier the unit you are looking at is in. Remember, this is based on zip code. Once you've figured out these 3 points, you can then see what range you should target for your rental search. One number is a maximum amount. This is the amount you cannot exceed. Seeking a unit towards these upper limits will increase your portion of the rent. It will move you closer to 40% of your income. If you find a unit that is less, your contribution to the rent will be lower. On this sheet, you can see the estimated range that you will be responsible to pay towards rent and utilities. This diagram describes a 3-step process as you go through the search and leasing process. It includes submitting a request for tenancy approval, a key form that initiates your leasing process with KCHA, inspecting your unit, a KCHA requirement to ensure the unit you are trying to lease meets basic safety standards, and signing your lease and HAP contract, the final stage that solidifies your lease before move-in. The RFTA is a KCHA form that lets KCHA know that you have found a unit that you intend to rent. It initiates the request for an inspection and allows KCHA to determine if the rent of the unit fits within the parameters of your voucher and is reasonable for the area. I want to be clear and emphasize that the RFTA is not a lease. It is simply the first step in the process of using your voucher. You should not sign a lease at this point. On the screen, there is a list of information that needs to be included when submitting your RFTA. You should fill this form out with the landlord. Both you and the landlord need to sign the RFTA. Be sure this information is accurate and complete, so we are able to process it as quickly as possible. After submitting the RFTA and given that the unit fits within the rent limits of your voucher, we will conduct an inspection. An inspector will reach out to the landlord to schedule a time to inspect the unit. Any questions regarding the inspection should be directed to the landlord. If you happen to be living in a unit currently and you intend to use your voucher for this unit, your voucher assistance will be effective the date the unit passes inspection. It is important to remember that you should not sign a lease prior to our inspection being completed. If you do, you will be responsible for the rent owed in full until the unit has passed inspection. Inspections look at a number of safety factors. One that I want to call out is lead paint. If you are looking to rent a unit built before 1978 and you have children under age 6 in your household, or if you are pregnant, the unit must be free of lead paint. Once you've submitted the RFTA and the unit has passed inspection, you can then sign the lease. The lease is an agreement between you and the landlord. Generally, the Housing Choice Voucher Program requires your initial lease term to be 12 months. After your first lease term, you can enter into shorter or longer lease durations. In addition to the lease, KCHA and the landlord enter into an agreement as well. It is called the HAP contract. This ensures that the monthly subsidy will be paid directly from KCHA to the landlord for the duration of your lease term. Now that we've gone over the housing search and lease-up process, I'd like to show you a short video that highlights some of the most important program rules. These are important to follow and will ensure you and your family remain in good standing with KCHA and the Housing Choice Voucher Program.
Congratulations on receiving your Housing Choice Voucher. Here are 10 simple but quite important rules to keep in mind that will help you stay in good standing with the Housing Choice Voucher Program. 1. Inspections. Before you move into a unit, and occasionally during your lease, the King County Housing Authority is required to inspect your unit. We will be sure to notify you in advance when an inspection is needed. 2. Your household. From the start, you will need to inform the King County Housing Authority about your current household income and family members who will be living in your unit. Be sure to always report true and complete information. 3. Changes. If there are any changes to your income or family composition, you must report these changes to the Housing Authority in writing. You will have 30 days to do this. 4. Utilities. Your family will be responsible for paying utilities that are not paid by your landlord, even if you are receiving an energy assistance supplement. 5. Absence from your unit. Any prolonged absence from your home that exceeds 30 days must be reported to the Housing Authority for approval. Please do so in writing. 6. Evictions. If you receive an eviction notice, please send a copy to the Housing Authority immediately. We may be able to help you resolve the issue. 7. Moving out. If you are planning on moving out of your unit, you will need to notify KCHA and your landlord before doing so. 8. Financial benefit. You cannot benefit financially from the unit you are living in. For example, your family cannot own or have a financial stake in the unit, nor can you use another housing subsidy program for the same unit. 9. Laws and leases. Your household must not participate in criminal activities, abuse of drugs or alcohol, damage to the property, commit fraud, or otherwise violate the terms of your lease. And most importantly, always pay your portion of the rent on time. 10. Participants. Your unit is for your family's use only, and you are not permitted to sublease your unit to others. These are the 10 key rules to help ensure that you and your family stay housed and in good standing with the Housing Choice Voucher Program.
In addition to your responsibilities as a participant on the HCV program, the landlord also has certain obligations, which include: number 1, perform all management responsibilities; number 2, comply with HAP contract and tenancy addendum; number 3, maintain the quality of the unit; number 4, enforce lease obligations. There are a number of rights you have when it comes to housing. For example, Washington State has passed a source of income discrimination ordinance. This means that a landlord cannot discriminate against you just because you are using Housing Choice Voucher to pay for your rent. If you are experiencing challenges working with landlords, we have owner liaisons that can assist you. In the 4th section of our presentation, we'll talk about how to work with the HCV program and KCHA. We'll cover reporting changes in your household income, services available to voucher participants, contact information, and making appointments with the HCV staff. It is important to notify KCHA of any changes to your income or family composition. For instance, the number of people in your household. You must do so in writing and within 30 days of the change. It is your responsibility to report these changes in writing. If you do not, you may be in violation of the program rules, owe KCHA retroactive rent, or possibly be removed from the HCV program. Reporting when changes occur. The type of change and when it is reported matters. If you have decreases in your income or family size and it is reported by the 22nd of the month, these changes will likely affect your rent calculation for the following month. For example, if you report a change on October 15th, these changes will impact your November rent calculation. If you report changes after the 22nd of the month, these changes will likely affect your rent calculation 2 months after being reported. For example, if you report a change on October 23rd, these changes will impact your December rent calculation. Due to COVID, we have modified our policy. For any decreases in your income or family size, the changes will affect your rent calculation the next month. If you have increases in your income or family size, these changes will likely affect your rent calculation 3 months after being reported. For example, if you report a change in October, these changes will impact your January rent calculation. As you begin your search, I want to remind you that we have resources online that can assist in finding units. Follow this link to find a list of helpful housing search tools. I also want to make you aware of a couple additional services we have available to you as a Housing Choice Voucher participant. The Subsidy Retention Program. This program, operated out of our Resident Services Department, can provide support in resolving issues that might be affecting your ability to remain in your unit. For example, the program can provide support with landlord disputes or when your housing may be in jeopardy. Contact your senior housing specialist if you think this program could be useful to you. Remember, KCHA is here as a resource to you. If you need to reach us, there are several ways to do so. You can email us, call us, or reach out to your senior housing specialist. Due to the pandemic, our office is currently closed. You can contact your senior housing specialist via phone or email. In closing, I want to highlight 5 important points that I hope you've learned at today's briefing. Number 1, you may use your Housing Choice Voucher anywhere in the United States. Number 2, you will have 120 days to use your voucher. Number 3, you should not move into your unit without submitting the RFTA and passing a unit inspection. Number 4, you will be responsible for ensuring your unit stays in good condition and that you and your household members comply with the rules of the program. And number 5, we want you to be successful in accomplishing your housing goals. Check out our webpage and always feel free to contact us with questions. Thank you and welcome to KCHA.